Hey everybody, welcome back to Backlog Banter. I'm your boy Abram, joined as usual by Tucker and Hazel, and we're here today for yet another episode of Backlog Banter. I'm
Yes!
calling
The
this
first one on the new
the
channel.
first on the channel.
Yeah.
I'm calling this the chicken episode because we've been playing chicken with this intro for the
Sure,
last
the chicken
two
episode.
minutes of
Yep.
time. But if you want to join in the jocular festivities
Oh,
of
yeah.
the chicken episode, be sure to join the Discord link in the top description, like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, leave a comment. Let me know your favorite sort of chicken egg. Do you like?
You mean like brown or
Do
like
you like? Yeah, you like?
large or
Yeah, you want a
pasteurized?
brown? Exactly. You want a
God, there's
pasteurized? You
so
want a
many.
speckled? You want a brown? You want a white? You want a
You
farm
ever eaten a
raised?
speckled egg? I can't.
Um,
I can't even say I've ever I mean, I've seen eggs that are speckled, but not like I've never
right.
held one. I've never caressed one.
You've
Just being honest.
the speckled chicken egg is more of a rumor in your life.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah. Could be.
Yeah,
real.
I mean I've seen one.
I've seen quail eggs. Those are kind of speckled.
You ever seen a dinosaur egg?
No, not lately. It's been a couple billion years. Hey, we got video games to talk about, you know?
Yeah.
We got a lot of weird ones to talk about, but I actually think that we should start where we both can talk about a game. Because Nintendo actually put out a game last month called Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe.
Yeah.
We've both played through it. We played in Magalora's Merry Fucko Land, and we played Magalora's Depressive Day, and it was a grand old time. Thank you, Hal.
Yeah. I actually think it was a grand old time. I was surprisingly impressed by Return to Dreamland Deluxe. But I feel there's a big asterisk I gotta put on there. And funnily enough, that's kind of the core game, which
Sure.
I think is totally good. It's okay. But it was the beginning of the sequence of titles going through Triple Deluxe and Robobot and even Star Allies, to where all of them kind of built on what the last one did. And even though Star Allies is derivative of the ones before it, it's still over the course of iteration, much like New Super Mario Bros. U, stronger than what came before.
Maybe. Well, Robobot notwithstanding.
Robobot.
That's like if New Super Mario Bros. 2 was just like easily and undeniably the greatest of those four games for whatever reason.
It easily and undeniably has the most coins of those.
That's a great point. I heard that a full playthrough of New Super Mario Bros. 2 gets you like 50,000 coins on the way to the million coin marker. How many goddamn times do you need to play that game?
You gotta grind the side modes, which are actually really fun, but that's a conversation for a completely different time.
Sure, all right.
The point,
hour-long BLB video incoming on the side modes of New Super Mario Bros. 2.
The point is, I liked the core game of Kirby's Return to Dreamland a fair bit.
Yeah,
it's Kirby.
You hadn't played it before, right?
I hadn't played it before.
Yeah, neither.
I'd played it very briefly in multiplayer with my aunt, but I'd never owned it myself, so I'd played a couple levels.
Yeah.
And so it's good. It's solid. I think fairly well realized Kirby in that the worlds feel they've got a very clear sense of place and everything.
Yeah.
But for me, what really makes Return to Dreamland Deluxe as good as it is the Magalore epilogue, and then especially Merry Magoland.
Yeah.
And the general level of polish and style brought to this release by Hal. I think it's actually a really remarkable and surprisingly high effort Deluxe Edition compared to, I think, a lot of Nintendo's other deluxes. Not to say that those are bad, but to just say that this one is really, I think, a step above.
Yeah. It comes for me in the aesthetic that they changed, but it's almost hard to tell that they've changed unless you go back and look at them side by side. And then hold on, no, they redid everything, because as it stands, it's a very good, simple, clean Kirby art style. It's not one we've seen used before because it is a little more cel shaded than the other ones. It does have a little bit different of a color palette, but when you go back and look at it is. But you go back and look at Return to Dreamland on the Wii, and you're like, yeah, that's just as basic as Kirby art style can get. It is the new Super Mario Bros. Art style of Kirby, and I'm glad they eschewed that for redesigning all the backgrounds and redesigning the character models, and I think improving King Dedede's look. I like him with a smaller head. I think it's kind of funny.
Penguin Dedede?
Yeah, kind of. But I'm with you. I think that the core game is the weakest part of that package. But as someone who's played basically every Kirby game at this point and is scratching for elements of these games that stand out to me. I do respect this one for introducing this super duper awesome copy abilities that are like gigantic sword that cuts through everything and giant bombs and giant fire or whatever. I thought those set pieces were kind of fun, and they used those abilities in unique ways, but they're also only like the last 45 seconds of every other level about maybe that. So other than that, I found the core levels to be fine, totally unremarkable Kirby levels.
Yeah.
But I expect that from Kirby, so it's I put it above the mediocre mark because I'm like, okay, there was an element of this that actually stood out to me that I enjoyed a little bit. And I do think that Magalor's depressive episode. What was it actually called? Magalor's Day Off?
It's called the Magalor Epilogue.
Oh, that's less interesting. Magalor Epilogue is good. It's pretty good. I think that giving you a skill tree to work towards, and Magalor's abilities playing unlike anything you've played in Kirby before, I think does set it apart. And the fact the levels are more challenge based, like they're more focused on a type of mechanic or one element of Magalor's moveset. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, to drill in on that a little bit more, it's interesting that this is stapled to Return to Dreamland. I mean, obviously it makes narrative sense. That's where Magalor comes from. But when you think about Return to Dreamland when it came out initially back in 2012, I believe is when it came out, it had been, again, these are numbers that I'm somewhat pulling out of my ass, but they're in the general ballpark of correctness. The last
2011 October.
Okay, 2011. Yeah. So there was 5 years between that and the last mainline Kirby game, which was Squeak Squad, and more than a decade since the last home console Kirby platform, which is 64.
Yeah,
and to that end, it actually did quite a lot to push the series forward in terms of bringing in multiplayer, in terms of making Dreamland a little bit more cohesive and less abstract. Obviously, there are abstracted elements to it, but the core worlds are a little bit cleaner. But it also, of course, does the DKC Returns and New Super Mario Brothers thing of let's bring back the overworld you remember and a lot of the ideas you remember. But there was actually quite a bit for its series forward thinking about that release, which has obviously since been surpassed. But I think Magalor's epilogue was cool because to me that was forward thinking and that it kind of posited a way to make Kirby's combat more interesting.
Yes, definitely.
And I'm not even just necessarily talking about like the quote unquote skill tree or whatever. I'm mostly talking about the idea of like the combo system and things because
you're actually building up a combo meter and you get less points if you get less combo.
And there's a function to it in that it then gives you more ability to unlock more.
Ability
to unlock more abilities. But
whoa.
Part of my problem part of my problem with the modern 2D Kirby games is that they went to such lengths to deepen the mechanics of how Kirby actually fights and what you can do with copy abilities, basically for the benefit of Kirby fighters and kind of nothing else. So it always felt like there was way more depth and utility to Kirby's moveset than you would literally ever need. So
in the actual levels, which are you see a Waddle Dee walking along and you punch it, and that's going to kill it just as fast as doing a 20 hit. Actually, it's going to kill it faster than doing a 20 hit Smash Bros combo on it is going to.
Yes, so I do hope actually that we see that combo system wheedle its way into whatever the next core Kirby game is. In 3D, but I think if they were to return to 2D Kirby, and I think they probably will at some point. I think implementing that system would be a good idea.
Sure, yeah. And I also do think that for engagement, for me, adding that quote-unquote skill tree, the unlocking abilities, the sense of progression, I think did deepen my enjoyment of going through these levels. It made me want to engage with clearing the puzzles and attacking the enemies in ways that most Kirby levels don't for me, because that ends up feeling like filler content to me. It's going to slow me down from getting to the end of the level faster because I don't find Kirby's core combat or fighting those enemies particularly compelling. But when there's the element on top of that of, if you defeat these enemies, you get extra little orb points or whatever, and then I can upgrade my moveset and learn what Magalor can do a little more. And I noticed in this last level that sort of in a light Metroidvania way, like returning to a previous level to make sure you're able to go up the other path or get the whatever, not coin or whatever up there. I thought that was a great addition and is what made it feel more structured and distinct for me as opposed to other Kirby games. I appreciate the modern Kirby games for adding collectibles, whether it's the puzzle pieces or keychains in Robot or Triple Deluxe, but this was I think a stronger element of that because it's integrated into the design of the levels. Over the course of the levels, you unlock more, and the levels change and evolve throughout the course of that small 1.5 hour, 2 hour game to where the levels at the end of the game are distinctly designed because you have the abilities to deal with them, which is something that Kirby in the core games has never really needed to because you have the same abilities from the beginning to the end. It's just about what enemies are in each level. So good on you, Hal. I really respect that.
Yeah, and I also just want to shout out Mary Magaland in particular because I think to me, this is what I am the most pleased about in the game.
Mm-hmm.
In large part just because Jean and I are always looking for new local multiplayer jump in, jump out games to throw into our rotation.
Yeah.
And we have been having fun. Yeah. We have been having fun doing the Magaland tours, where Magalore just picks four games and you play them in sequence.
I'm sorry, I never played Mary Magaland with other people.
Yeah.
No one in my life is interested in Kirby minigames, Abram.
So yeah, we played quite a bit of it, and I think that these sub games are much stronger than your average Kirby sub game. Of course, some of these are retooled from the past, like the
I think
Bob
most
Kirby Frying Pan one. It's about 50-50 in terms of ones that return and ones that were introduced for Dreamland. Return to Dreamland. So I'm not sure how many, if any, are actually new to this particular deluxe release.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I think that for me,
yeah,
this is the strongest I've ever experienced sub games in a Kirby game. And actually, it puts Forgotten Land to shame when you think of, they had like 3 ball tilting mini games and like high score fishing. Those are the sub games in that. But placing them in the context of Mary Magdalene, which is this theme park, and over the course of the game, more small characters start filling out the environment. You get the bosses showing up. You unlock masks for completing levels, for defeating challenges, and each of the levels has 10 challenges in its own that are range from wear blank mask while doing this, which is not a challenge, or really goddamn hard challenges where you got to be real good to get all those. And I think that the combination of a sense of place that makes it feel like there's a reason why I'm going to do these. It's in the context of a theme park, and Magalore's trying to make this little carnival up for everyone. And the fact that there is a quote-unquote progression system of unlocking the masks and, which characters are they going to draw from? A lot. Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know how many Kirby characters there are that they have a full fucking page from. It's like a Lego Star Wars character selection screen for Kirby masks. And the challenges. I think that all of that really heightens my engagement, what little there is, with Kirby sub games, because there's a reason why they're there. There's a reason to keep playing them. I think that's like huge steps above, because most of the time Kirby sub games are choose it from the menu and play it if you want to. And that, I think, has led me to disappointment in previous games, because it feels like a lack of cohesion. And it feels like, well, I don't know, why would I really bother if it's just I'm going to spend like 5 minutes on it and that's going to be it. But there's a lot more incentive to keep playing and engage with these games.
Yeah, they used to just sort of be fun activities. Yeah. But now it's actually placed in the context of a replayable local multiplayer experience. Yep. So I'm quite happy with it. And on the whole, I'm a lot more impressed with Return to Dreamland Deluxe than I expected to be. When I bought the game, I was like, okay, it'd be one of the last Kirby games I've ever played, so I'll have fun with it in that way. And I do just a very clear difference of opinion between us, but I just find Kirby, albeit simple, to be just joyful fun for me. But I expected it was going to stop there. But then as I played more and I dug more into the package, I was just quite blown away by the fact that Hal didn't say, let's simply upscale Return to Dreamland and drop it on Switch, but instead go to all these lengths to make what feels like a really solid and differentiated but yet cohesive 3-pillar experience. So there's our review of Dreamland Deluxe.
Yeah, no, that was pretty comprehensive. But actually, there is another game that the two of us have played that we can talk about on here that I would really like to inform the audience about. And that is technically a demo of a game, but a game that's coming out in May.
Oh, yeah.
Tetsuya Mitsuguchi's next game, or he's producing the next game called Humanity. From, what is the company?
Enhance.
And Humanity is Lemmings in 3D
Yeah.
and using like the power of the PS5 SSD to have a lot of goddamn particle effects and little guys doing funny things. And I played all 10 levels of this. I just sat down. It felt really satisfying to figure out these puzzles. I really like the clean art style. You're playing as a dog. Everything about this absolutely sings to me, and it's my most anticipated game of the year right now.
Yeah, I love what Enhance does. In large part, Enhance has become an opportunity for either Tetsuya Mizuguchi or other people on the team to reinterpret arcade titles that either Tetsuya has worked on or that are just, in the case of Tetris, just incredibly popular, right? Mm-hmm. And Enhance, it has always been more about this grandiose synesthetic experience about the harmony between visuals and music and gameplay, but it's always been largely on top of another idea. Mm-hmm. Luminous, Res, Tetris. So it's really exciting to see that team. And while I'm not sure how closely involved in like a design level Tetsuya Mizuguchi himself is, nonetheless, Enhance is much more than just him. And so for that team to bring their eye for visual design and sound design and the curation of a beautiful soundtrack to the context of what isn't inspired, but is inspired by older puzzle ideas, but nonetheless original in its construction, is really, 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 really exciting to me because I love all of Enhance's games. So I'm right there with you. This is one of the titles I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, and the greatest and weirdest thing about this game is that I discovered this after playing Tetris Effect Connected and trying Res Infinite and being interested in this new generation of puzzle games with the modern affordances of design and particle effects that make them more immersive. But Humanity's it wasn't just announced. This game was announced in like 2018 and it was supposed to release in like 2019. So this game has been in production for a long time, and who knows really what that is. Maybe it was the pandemic delay, or obviously I think it was probably the pandemic delaying it. Maybe they had more ideas. I don't know if the creator mode was supposed to be in the original release, but it's a big part of this is you can make your own levels. But everything about this game is super distinct, and I think you're right, is stepping away from someone else's idea into Humanity being, ripping on Lemmings a little bit, but the modern iteration of that, and with all the modern affordances, that the time that I spent with it is like exactly what I want out of puzzle games. Is like totally weird, totally off the wall. Why humans would have to walk into pillars of light, and you got these big guys that you want to get to the end, and then there's the others that are like evil humans that are coming out of dark portals. Like, it's so conceptually and visually ridiculous, but the core puzzle gameplay is focused in on because it is like rather abstract. It's just a flow of humans and like sometimes some trees for whatever reason. But I really like the aesthetic they're going for because it lets me hone in on the gameplay of how am I going to program this stream of people to turn left, jump, long jump, crouch, pick something up, climb a wall, and navigate these mazes to get to the end in the quickest amount of time possible. Did you beat all 10 levels in the thing?
No.
Demo?
And this is a conversation with Parks I have in the Discord of like, I usually don't play demos a lot of the time. It's the sort of thing of I'm a greedy fucker, and it's
so my goddamn.
I start playing. I'm like, I just want the whole game now.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I'll just get there when I get there.
Yeah.
So 2 months to go.
I just want to say that the last level of the demo, there were 10 levels in all, is really interesting in that you have to set up your path. And then you can't alter it, and you just have to watch and see what happens. So you have to sit there and plan. Oh, okay, if they're moving at this speed and they're gonna do this, and they're gonna drop down, then push this block here, and then I have to navigate around that. Now that I know, because as you're playing the normal game, you can stop, change their flow, let them fall off a cliff. It doesn't matter. But apparently there are going to be like real challenge levels of plan your route out ahead of time and watch it play out. And if it fails, you have to reset. And like, just like, I find that balance to be really interesting. I hope that that's not like the majority of the game. I don't know how complex it's really going to end up being, but I hope that when I do dive into the full game, there's a nice sense of progression of how sharply the challenges are ramping up. I don't know how many levels there are going to be in the campaign, but also they're technically infinite levels, and there are technically infinite levels in the demo too, or there were. The demo's not available anymore, but because the creative mode existed, and also the team had made a bunch of extra levels, so you could have gone on there and played your entire life's worth of humanity if you wanted to. But yeah, no release date yet, just May. I believe
May 23rd. I thought I had in my head that there was a date linked into that.
I didn't see one. Now I think I would have seen one because I joined their Discord. I looked in every corner of their website to try to find out information, but I could be wrong about that.
Oh no, you're right. It's just May.
Okay. Yeah, but
I'm sure there'll probably be another Sony event between now and then where we get that date.
Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, so excited for that. Awesome game.
Hark, my pewter is dying.
Oh, Hark. Plug that shit in, Jamie.
Hark.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I think those are the only games we share.
Yeah, because I played a lot of fucking strange stuff this last week.
So I have 4 games. And I can't even expand that number. Oh, it's just if I download it.
Okay, yeah, I got maybe 11 or 12.
Okay.
Well, it depends on how deep I want to go into some of these, because I played some that were I played 30 minutes of that, and I just wanted to add it to my repertoire. But one game that I did just go all the way through is a little game called Elite Beat Agents for the Nintendo DS, which is a game that I had heard a lot of very good things about as a middle DS era rhythm game. The direct inspiration for Osu, which is a huge thing on PC. And Elite Beat Agents, you play through little story stages, kind of like WarioWare or Rhythm Heaven. There's a little goofy story going on in the background, and your job is, as the 3 Elite Beat Agents, is to come in and make someone's day better. It's really ambiguous, why there's this government service that sends a rocket ship of guys out that make sure that babysitting is going well, or cleans up the kitchen, or totally random things. Of course, escalating until you're saving people's careers, and then the aliens are coming down and you have to stop the alien invasion. And it's such a strange goddamn game, and I loved it. I really think it's so much fun.
Yeah.
I think that the integration of the tap 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 drag tap tap rhythm gameplay works so well on the DS, obviously, and it made it a very tactile experience. You need to use the stylus though, because you can't get enough precision with your fingy tip. And as the game ramps up and the cutscenes inside of the levels get weirder and weirder, and characters from earlier levels start coming back again and showing up in other people's stories, it culminates in a really fun and crazy way, as I said, with an alien invasion and shit like that. But my enjoyment was hampered because, much like a game that I was playing last time we talked, I hate it when games have a crazy difficulty spike at the end of the game. I'm not stupid. I know what a difficulty curve should feel like. I know what my skill level is growing over the course of the game. And then when you hit a boss or a final level, it's fuck you. 10 times harder than what you were doing second to last age. Nothing bugs me more than that. And that absolutely kills my entertainment with a game with those last few minutes. But I'm also someone who weighs the overall experience of a game more than my frustration with a small portion. And the same complaint applies to Ratchet and Clank 2002, which this final boss is notoriously ridiculously difficult in that game, and I'm not doing this. It's not fun. The design of this is unfair, and I'm not gonna do it. But I did beat Elite Beat Agents with my fucking nuts clenching and my asshole puckering. It was crazy. But because it was such a giant jump in difficulty, and I'm not someone who seeks out that kind of mechanical challenge in my games, that did detract from my enjoyment of that game. Even though 90% of that game is a really nice curve. They've got a few songs in there even I recognize, like September and YMCA. It's totally strange. But yeah, Elite Beat Angels, people are right. weird but really fun game. And it's one that I think
Yeah.
you would like as well because it's got that WarioWare rhythm having flavor to it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to play this next week. One of the many games I'm trying to beat while I'm visiting Yi.
Yeah, this is about 2 hours long, so
I think
really
I can
easy.
swing it.
Yeah.
I think I can swing it. But it's one I've wanted to play since it was new that I just have never experienced. So
yeah. Leapy Daisies.
Sweet.
Do I go again?
I think you have to.
Okay. Have you heard of How to Full Boyfriend?
Yeah, I have.
It's a game where you play a romance visual novel, and that's it.
Right.
Except
Mm-hmm.
all of the romanceable individuals are birds. They're all pigeons of some kind, and that is what the game sells itself on. Is this identity of, oh, you know what visual novels are, but wouldn't it be funny if the guys that you had crushes on were all birds? And
it is funny.
Yeah, it is funny. It absolutely is. And also in the canon of the game, you are human, and you're talking to the birds, and you're the only human at this all bird school, and birds have like developed sentience, and they're more intelligent. So human and bird relations are like kind of rocky. So you're like supposed to be a link between the two of them and like learn how birds think. And that's like the basic premise. Is like, okay, that's kind of wacky. You play a route, you romance this guy, you romance that guy, you learn a little bit about each of these characters, and the characters are, I'd say like 80% of them are really well written. But once you beat all of the routes, the game hard shifts into a linear story about the campus locking down, and the government wants to kill the people that are in there, and you have to like, one guy gets shot, and you have to like go around and make sure that all the characters that you've talked to along the way, like, what are their alliances? Are they secret agents in disguise? And it's like, what the fuck is happening? And at the end of the day, there is a very strong thematic story here that is presented through this wacky, ridiculous romance novels are kind of dumb and simple lens, and oh, it's funny that they're birds lens, but there's a reason for that in the story. The like thematic and political relations of these characters and their arcs over the course of the game are actually surprisingly fascinating, and it's a game that I don't love because visual novels don't really do it for me, but as a subversion of genre trope, this is almost as strong as Doki Doki Literature Club, which is a game that I really like. And I can see how this influenced that game in a very like one-to-one way.
Yeah, this is just a big nod for me type
no,
situation.
I would never even dream. Frankly, I'm even surprised you heard of it.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to ignore because it's one of those games it's one of those sort of meme games. Now, obviously, it has much more substance to it than a lot of the more archetypal meme games, but pretty sure like Funhouse played How to Full Boyfriend and things.
Yeah,
because it's sort of a magnetic concept, and the developer very clearly identified something that was going to captivate people's imagination.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sort of a brand of irreverence that isn't particularly interesting to me, and then I have to read.
Yeah, it's a lot of reading.
Yeah, I do. It's just it's a concept that makes me laugh, and I like that about it for sure.
We need more games that make us giggle.
I'm just looking. I just pulled up your backlog. I think you need to go again.
Okay, let's do that.
And then I go, and then you go 3 more times, and I go, and then I think that does it.
We'll see how it works out. All right, we'll figure it out. I played a mystery game. Of course, it's not a mystery anymore. You and I figured this out in a conversation a couple weeks ago or a couple days ago. But I was sitting on my couch as I'm one known to do, and I'm like, all right, look, I've been putting it on my like New Year's resolutions, like top of my to-do list. I have played every 3D Mario game to completion except for Super Mario Galaxy 2. And I'm like, I have the game up there, right there. I have the means. I have the Wii U. I can pop it in. I'm like, okay. I'll do it. So I stuck the game in, and I played Super Mario Galaxy 2 over the course of 2 days, and yeah, pretty good game. It's a good game. I still hold that Super Mario 3D Land is the only bad 3D Mario game. I think they're all different degrees of good. But Super Mario Galaxy 2 is the one that I think I found the most disappointing disappointing because I went into it thinking, okay, I like Galaxy a good bit. I don't have the extreme reverence for it that some people do, but I hope that Galaxy 2, in feeling entirely fresh to me because I hadn't had an experience with it before, in terms of having a couple extra years of game design and like ridiculous creativity and adding Yoshi, and maybe this will be the one that really sells me on the Galaxy idea. And what I found is a balance of yes and no, which is where the disappointment comes in. Yes, I think that these levels are pretty much on the whole superior. I really did like the ways that they played with moving between 2D and 3D. They don't use gravity, like the swinging around planets, as much as they did in Galaxy 1, but I do think that is kind of for the better because the levels end up feeling a little more varied because of that, and they're not all leaning towards that one mechanic. And yeah, there's a lot of level theme. Like no two levels are the same. I think that the variety within the levels in terms of what the goals are very diverse. I really like that about this game. And I think that Starship Mario is a better hub world than Rosalina's Observatory.
I love Starship Mario. People give it too much shit.
It's awesome. It's awesome because it evolves in a realizable way over the course of the game. Rosalina's Observatory is fine, but it is just shapes that are connected. And she lives here? Why'd she build it like this? Why is there a kitchen on top of like a pedestal? That's weird. But Starship Mario is also equally ridiculous conceptually. That it's an asteroid that Lubba turned into Mario's face. But watching it grow over the course of the game and having Luigi show up and the Toad show up and the one that checks your mail and here's the bunny that you were chasing and this guy's gonna give you a few coins. This guy's will give you some tips that Yoshi will show up and you can use him to platform around to different areas. I really did like. I like that a lot more than I liked Rosalina's Observatory. But they made a great hub world, but they didn't use it for anything. Because really the only thing you do with Starship Mario is go to the thing that takes you to a linear map with the levels on it. I'm like, no! Oh, no, god damn it! Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? Because it takes the entire, like, world context out of it. Is Starship Mario going boing, 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 boing. That's really lame. It's really lame. And it leads to my biggest criticism of this game and where it easily hampered my enjoyment the most is this game has one of the strictest, you must get this many stars to unlock the next level/world limit that I've ever experienced in a game. And that was incredibly frustrating because it kills the pacing of this game to me. Is say, for World 3, you need 30 stars, 35 stars. And through playing each level in Worlds 1 through 2 once, or maybe occasionally twice, or you do a prank comment here or there. You finish the Bowser's Castle at the end of World 2, and you're like, 30 stars. Oh, I have 25 stars. Well, now it's time to go piddle around these levels I've already been in again and look for other stars and see these same environments again. And okay, repeat that over the course of the entire game because every next gate cap to get to the next world is just slightly too high. And it just means that you gotta make sure that you're getting the coins to get the prankster comments and exploring levels in a way that I think does incentivize exploration, but in a way that I found like forced on to me. I wasn't like taking the game at my own pace and like, oh, this is cool. I'll try this. Oh, okay. Oh, well, I can move on to this if I want to. It's like, no, stop. Turn around, go back to World 1, and play the first level again and do the other star. I'm like, fine, I guess I literally have to. I don't have a fucking choice. And that only gets more and more strict over the course of the game to where at the end of the game you need 80 stars to get to the last level, and it's like, well, I only have 72. So I'm gonna go spend like an hour going play these other levels. And that was just a huge momentum killer for me.
Yeah, to be honest, I just don't remember Galaxy 2 that well.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's one of the games I remember, one of the first games I was really, really excited for as a kid. I remember reading about Nintendo Power and loving Galaxy so much. The first game I'm pretty sure the first game I ever bought with my own money was New Super Mario Bros. Wii.
Yeah.
But I remember one of the first games that I really, really, really knew that I needed as soon as it came out was Galaxy 2.
Yeah.
And so I have a distinct memory of GameStop doing like a trade-in sale of like if you traded in these two games on this very short list of valuable titles, you could get a copy of Galaxy 2 or whatever. So I remember doing that and getting the game and adoring it.
Yeah.
And when I reflect back on it, the thing that sticks out to me most is how much better a job they do with power ups in this title
Yeah.
compared
Oh
to the
yeah.
first.
Oh yeah. The
I
cloud
love
power
the
up is one of the
yeah
best in the Mario series, frankly.
yeah I love Cloud Mario. Rock Mario is a ton of fun
Yeah.
too. But then Yoshi is also super fun in that it's
Absolutely.
not just Yoshi; it's Yoshi who can then eat the fruits, which give him all these different abilities. So I think that the game is so fun and experimental
Yeah.
in level themes and in gameplay ideas. But what's kind of interesting about Galaxy 2 is it really is just, and I believe they've talked about this, like it is just what didn't fit in Galaxy 1.
Yeah. Yeah. It was intended to
So,
be an expansion.
right, so it's not necessarily a situation of even like, I mean, 3D Land, 3D World is not quite analogous because those are on different systems,
Yeah.
but it's not a situation of like a lot of design progression between titles.
Sure. Yeah.
It is, here's a lot more Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
And
And it's a
when
lot.
you,
It's double the galaxy.
yeah. And when you tie that to what I agree with you completely is a poor mode of progression,
Yeah.
I think it just becomes a little bit less special, even
Yeah.
though
Yeah.
what I think it does in terms of introducing some new ideas is really quite remarkable. So I actually am going to request that you bring your copy of Galaxy 2 and your Wii U,
Fine.
just so I can fuck around with it a little bit, because
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
even own it anymore. I don't have the game anymore, so I'd love to
Do you know
revisit it.
Presumably you traded it in for something. Do you know what you traded it in for?
No, I've got no clue, because everyone's got to keep in mind, I went through a huge phase as a kid of having no money but always wanting new games. So
Yeah,
I
of course.
literally, my library was never static. It was
Yeah.
always changing. And now it's like I just take that for granted now that I just have my games, and my library is only going to get bigger. My library is never going to get smaller again, ever again.
Of course.
And so I like to try to patch back some of those holes. So
yeah.
but
And this is a good one to have. I mean, I still I complained about it at the end, and I do think that it is a flawed game in those ways. But I think it is still a very good game. I'm trying to
Mario.
I'm trying to find my I found my 3D Mario ranked. Yeah, okay. So this is my second to bottom, because most 3D Mario games I don't have these kind of issues with. I think about the star progression in something like 3D World or Odyssey, where it's not restrictive at all because there is so much flexibility and the levels are there's so much quicker in 3D World, but they're so much more expansive in Odyssey, and of course you collect a lot more moons, so it feels like you can progress at the pace that you want to. And of course there's a lot more options in those games. But the star gates being limiting here in Galaxy 2 might be something that might be difficult for you to experience only playing the game for a few hours, because for me it was a problem that compounded over the course of the game, to where, as I said, by the end of the game it was like even more annoying than it was like early hours in the game. But yeah, it's still a good game, and as I said, I do contend that 3D Land is the only bad 3D Mario game. Even then I have it at like a 6 out of 10. I just think it's like an underwhelming game.
I really want to replay 3D Land, because I'm just.
Do you want me to bring that?
No, I still have my copy of that. It's right over there. I keep a little. Can people see it? Yeah, I keep in that question mark box. It's just full of DS and 3DS games. I just feel that shit.
I've got a piece of Tupperware.
You do.
Yeah. Mario. Happy Mario Day. I've now played all the 3D Mario games and almost all the 2D Mario games. I think technically Luigi U is the only one I need to play.
Ooh, Luigi is fun. I don't know if I've ever finished Luigi U, but Luigi U is straight up better than New Super Mario Brothers.
Might be. Couldn't have.
Because the levels they're like short. They're all 100 seconds.
Oh, I've never beaten Wii either.
Yeah, the Luigi U should get a reevaluation.
Sure. But by me or by the general public?
General public.
Okay.
I think
I'm going to go out the streets with a megaphone and say, give Luigi U a second chance. I haven't even played the game, but please.
The only 2D Mario game, and I've of course played all 3D ones, I think the only Mario platforming game that I've never played is Land 1.
Oh, really? Okay.
I've never played that one. So I should. To be honest with you, I have so little interest in doing so, but I might as well. I could beat that game in probably 45 minutes.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. So it's gonna take you a little longer than that, but you can't. It is possible to beat that game in
47 minutes. I'm allotting 2 minutes for difficulty.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely.
Should I go?
Yeah, might as well.
I've played Crazy Taxi.
Oh, that's true. You did. I meant to, but I didn't.
Yeah. So Crazy Taxi is, pardon the pun, right up my street, 100%. So I'm really quite interested.
It's a wild ride, pardon the pun.
I'm really interested in playing more Sega games that I haven't played before.
Yeah.
I was so close to buying Virtua Fishing, and then I'm like, I just don't even think, and I just don't. There's a limit. I'm not you making a fucking Excel document of every single game PlayStation's ever published. You know,
what does it do with Virtua Fishing? You're just using this as a point to shit on me a little bit.
No. What I mean is, I don't strive for the encyclopedic understanding you do.
True.
I see Virtual Fishing for $5, and I'm like, I just simply don't care enough.
But you almost did.
I almost did.
So you almost care enough.
I made the correct moral decision the last moment to not play Virtual Fishing.
Fair, sure.
But I played Crazy Taxi.
Yeah.
And Crazy Taxi is fucking awesome.
I've heard nothing but good things about that game.
Yeah. I love it. The premise is incredibly simple. You are a taxi driver in a city, and there are a lot of people all over who have to go to places.
Yeah.
And the entire game is pick up a person, get them where they're trying to go as fast as possible, and pick up the next. Because you're on the clock constantly. And the only way to add more time to your clock, unless you're playing the modes where you just kind of can just set a time limit for yourself.
Yeah.
The core rules are the only way to add more time to your clock is to complete a ride and pick up the next rider.
Yeah.
So it is frantic. And you are just careening through the city. It's not based on any real-world city. It feels sort of San Francisco-esque in the ways that, with part of what makes the game so fun, is sections of the city are so vertical.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if you go,
I was in San Francisco just a couple weeks ago. They're not lying. It really is that steep.
Yeah.
And it seems unsafe, to be 100% honest.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are your cars okay? How are your legs okay? How are your baby strollers okay? No human being should be living on a hill this steep.
Yeah, I don't like
it's
San Francisco.
Cartoona.
Yeah, I don't like San Francisco for a number of reasons. And the steepness of those hills is one of them.
Yeah.
The only good thing about the way San Francisco is designed is that it allowed us to have a cool car chase and bullet. That's the only thing that hills of San Francisco have ever allowed.
What about in Shang-Chi? Remember when they were going down on the bus and
oh right,
the bus gets cut in half?
That's actually a great action sequence. I'm not even going to pretend to disparage Shang-Chi because I like that movie quite a bit. But so this city is sort of an SF-like in that respect, but it's not a real city by any stretch of imagination. But it is designed in a way where it is labyrinthine, and there's jumps all over the place, and hills to go down, and like walls to kind of sneak yourself over. And it is just this full tilt rush to get someplace. And what elevates it is that the sense of panic is mingled with this perfect balance of great control over your vehicle, but plenty of shit that is going to constantly go wrong.
Of course.
So you can control yourself quite well, but like a cabbie, and there's been like real world studies on how parts of cabbies' brains are like more developed than regulars because they just like they know every road inside and out. You got to get that sense of knowledge, but you also need to like dodge the trolley cars coming through, and you need to not hit a wall because if you do, you're totally fucked, and figure out how to best stop and start again. There's all kinds of nuances that make it so everything is in your control. But there's always an element kind of pulling at your sense of control, just a little bit. And at the same time, you can also gain more money, and your fare directly contributes to your score and your rank by driving really close to other cars.
Yeah, the risk reward factor.
Yeah. And
kind of like Burnout. I believe Burnout does that.
Yeah. And the more cars you drive past really close, the higher your multiplier gets and the more money.
I'm sure there's a little meter somewhere that it starts to go on fire at a certain point.
What it is it's like your fare keeps ticking up, and you just see like more money, like 75 cents, $1, $2, $5, $15 as you're dodging cars more and more. It's just such a frantic and no brakes experience. Crazy. And I really do appreciate that.
There's really only one word to describe this game, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
End of the IGN
just,
review.
Exactly. And it's just blanketed in this really fun Dreamcast arcade era, big, colorful, exaggerated aesthetic. So I really have no negatives about Crazy Taxi itself, but the game does have what is called the Crazy Box mode, which is full of challenges, which are largely bogus. But they're a complete superlative. Beating the game is not tied to that. Obviously, beating Crazy Taxi doesn't really mean a whole lot because it's more about scores, but you can hit a certain score and then you've quote-unquote beaten the game.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But, yeah, so the Crazy Box stuff is not that compelling to me, but also it's a complete additive to the experience. So for my tastes in gameplay first, twitchy, frantic, cartoony, arcade-oriented experiences, it's basically unimpeachable, and I really do feel like I've found a new top game.
A new Buhner classic.
A new Buhner classic.
Certified Buhner classic.
Yes. So yeah. I really love it.
And it's definitely one I'd like to give a try. Yeah. The racing genre is not something I gravitate towards, and obviously this is not a racing game in the traditional sense, but the idea of just careening and being ridiculous and the cartoony nature of it. Yeah. So, it sounds like something that might engage me. I don't know. Haven't tried it, but I could agree with you.
Because there's also a fun sense of chaos too. You're in an open air taxi, right? So you see your passenger in the back seat, who's always like kind of flying out of the seat as you're jumping, or they like start cheering when you're driving close and they get excited, or like start cussing you out when you like hit a wall or hit another car and everything.
Yeah.
It's a great attention to detail in the context of a very simple experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Ooh, okay. Sam Barlow. You know him? You familiar with his work?
Yes, I am.
He made one of our favorite games of last year, Immortality. Go check out our favorite games of 2022 video on the BLB Archives channel. If you'd like to hear us talk about that game, insanely and passionately for like 15 minutes.
Check out Lock On Volume 5. Sam Barlow's in there.
Well, but if you want the better discussion between two up and coming
two youthful men. Two youthful, sensual men.
Oh yes. Subscribe to BLB. Her Story. I played it.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember like why, but I was just like, I love Immortality. I've heard Her Story is really good. And you are smiling so hard. Is it? Do you have a thought going on in your head, or do I need to send someone check on you? Oh,
no, I'm smiling at the idea of more Sam Barlow games. Seriously,
it's gonna take a fucking while. Let's be honest. Let's be real.
I mean, more that I haven't played.
Sure, there are two of them. Yeah, but one of them is Her Story in a game that I've now completed, and it's really interesting how Sam Barlow has built on his own idea of using an FMV video game, which is what Her Story is.
This is the second one, right?
Second game? No. Telling Lies.
Oh, sorry. Telling Lies came second. Okay.
Yes, like 3 years later. But Her Story is a game about discovering the order of clips that are from a woman's interrogation. Her husband has died, and you are trying to figure out, did she do it? Who did it? What's the motivation? Where was she? What's her history? What's his history? What's going on here? But there are a couple limits to that concept that keep it more gameplay-wise engaging. It's an interrogation, so of course there's someone sitting in this room that's filming the video that's asking questions, but you never see any of the questions. Yeah. So you have to intuit the questions from what her responses are, and from what you can sort of timeline-wise place the clips back to back. Like, okay, what might have they asked in between here? What is she responding to? And also, the system that you're using to catalog and search through these things can only show the first 5 examples of any word that you search. So the interaction with this game is you hear the name Carlos. That's not even a name that's in the game, but say you hear the name Carlos. You type Carlos into this old like DOS computer thing. It'll show you the first chronologically 5 clips where someone says the name Carlos, or where she says the name Carlos. But there might be 19 clips with the name Carlos in it. And so, okay, how am I going to get to those. So you listen to the clips, you pick up keywords, you search those words, you try to narrow it down. You can search key phrases, you can put punctuations and quotations in there to try to see if she repeats things. And over the course of the game, this little box will fill up and it'll show you like which ones you've gotten in which order. And you just piece together what happened over the course of 77 clips or something. Maybe it's more than that. But it's a solid enough amount of clips, and the total runtime of the quote unquote film, if you were to watch it, it wouldn't be a very good film if you were to watch it like that. But I think it's like 2 hours and 10 minutes. So it's like a full feature length thing. And it took me probably 4 hours to go through it and re-listen to clips and pause and scrub back and categorize things. And there's a system where you can take notes on them, so you can search up your own keywords later on. And it's just such an engaging way to piece together a narrative non-linearly, which is what we loved so much about Immortality. But this one is very much focused in. It's not using the comparatively more clever concept of match cutting to different objects in the environment. It's not telling 3 simultaneous stories. There's not the extra meta narrative of the one beyond or whoever it was that comes through as you're scrolling back stuff. All that stuff is what Sam Barlow grew to. But seeing where he started with FMV games in Her Story, it's basically as fully formed as you could want.
Yeah.
And even performance-wise and writing-wise and theme-wise, there are direct connections that you can be like, oh, that's where he got this idea, and oh, that's how it ties to Immortality. Of course, they're not like in the same universe or anything, it's not connected, but as a creator, he is so distinct in his style, but he also has a distinct writing style that I couldn't have appreciated unless I'd played both of the games. So highly recommend Her Story. Play it on a computer. I was going to play it on my Steam Deck, but then I was like, I would have to like touchscreen type all these words. No, I'll just play it on my laptop. And I played it at work. I was so into it. It was one of those games where I had to pee, but I didn't want to get up to pee because every clip, I'm like, okay, just one more clip. And then, that's such an interesting word. And I was keeping notes on my phone of like which terms to search up and like how many search results they came up with. I adore this game. And I can't wait to play Telling Lies to have completed that trilogy and see what the bridge gap between Her Story and Immortality is. Oh, certified Tucker Classic.
Yes. I really want to play those 2 games.
Do you want me to bring my laptop? No, you can get on Steam, or I can give you my Steam login. You can use that.
I'll give Sam my money.
Sure, fair.
I would love to play this game, so it's a simple thought to respond to.
Good, great game. Goddamn.
Yes.
Certified Classic. Am I going again?
Yeah, you have to go again.
I can do a couple quick ones.
Hit me with a quickie. Give me a quickie.
Fly Wrench. Have you heard of Fly Wrench?
No.
Have you heard of Messhoff?
No.
They're the people that made Nidhogg, which is a game that you have heard of but you haven't played that you will fucking play. You will fucking play that when we're in Texas. Okay. I added to the goddamn list. And Nidhogg is one of my favorite games of all time. I think it's pure, simple, 1v1, arcadey, ridiculous fun. And the energy and style and pixelization and music to that game is so distinct that for me it was always a little bit disappointing that they had only made Nidhogg 2. I'm like, Nidhogg's so awesome, and Nidhogg 2 is not a game that I have much experience with, but it's fun. It's a little bit different. They did make another game, and it's called Fly Wrench. And it's a game that started off as a browser game, a Flash game, but they expanded it to a full remake and expanded release on Steam.
They would.
Sure. And it's a game where this is not a joke, inspired by Kurukurin.
I got that sense because I just looked it up.
Yeah, you're navigating a little spaceship, I guess probably called the Fly Wrench, I don't fucking know, through ridiculous corridors. You're not constantly spinning like in Kurin, but you're constantly falling. So kind of like Flappy Bird, you have to keep yourself up by bouncing. But whenever you like flap your ship's wings or whatever, your ship changes to a red, I believe. You have when you're not doing anything, you're a certain color. When you're flapping your wings, you're a certain color, and you can hold them together to be a little bit smaller and hold it. Or you can spin, and then you're a different color. And so there's this interesting parallel to to Kurin, where you're trying to avoid certain things and hit certain things, but it's based on the color that your ship is at that particular time. Whether you're spinning, you're falling, you're flapping, whatever, objects in the environment will be that corresponding color, and when you are that color, you can't be damaged by it. So you constantly have to keep yourself, you're constantly on your toes. This is one of the most insane, mechanically ridiculous games that I've played, because you will fall, you'll bounce off a thing, and you're green. Then you have to make sure that you're green when you're going through the lasers here, and then you have to make sure that you're red when you're falling through this, but then that changes the way that your ship is affected by gravity. And so there's this insane balance between, okay, I gotta be green here, I gotta be red here, and it's so reflex based that I played 45 minutes of it, and it got way too hard for me. I'm like, I get this. I get it.
Is it level based or score based?
Very level based.
Okay.
It's 20 levels per planet or whatever, and you got what are they? Venus, Mercury, Saturn. I don't know. There's a couple of them. But yeah, really, really interesting, unique game, and another one from Messoff. So that's why I wanted to play it.
I'm going to make a tactical intercession to the diegesis of our conversation.
That was a lot of big boy words. I'm proud of you.
Do I need to buy a Steam Deck?
I think you'd enjoy it. I think that the access to the world of Steam would expand your horizons a little bit, because there are a lot of Steam games that aren't available on.
Yeah,
and also they're way fucking cheaper. They're way fucking.
Yeah.
I got this game for $2.
Because the thing is, I have every system, so I already have so much to play, and I have my computer if I really want to play something on Steam. But I'm talking to you, I'm talking about another person who just got a Steam Deck. Here's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Because I was looking at this game, I'd like to play this, but I'm just not gonna play it on my desktop where I gotta put headphones in and boot up this whole Tom, Dick, and Harry to play a game on Steam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think
Abram's finger double clicking is too much of a stress for him.
I think I want to dick around with yours a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I've held it when I visited John, I held it. I'm like, I don't like the form factor, but I think if I were to give it some time, here's my plan. Try yours. Come back.
Think about it.
Pay my taxes.
Oh, sure.
Figure out how much I spent in Austin.
Alternate universe, avoid your taxes.
See how much money I got coming in. Evaluate the lay of the land.
Yeah.
Probably buy myself a Steam Deck.
Yeah, probably.
But
also maybe not, because also it could just be too big and too heavy for you. It's something that I grew to appreciate over my time playing it, and I do think that the flexibility of it as a handheld system is what gives it a clear edge for me. It is a surprisingly powerful device. It is a very flexible device, and I have Game Pass on there. I have Epic Game Store. You can, I think I've sent you pictures of it. I'm not sure if I've described in full of the emulation on it. Takes a little bit to get set up, and I can help walk you through that if you ever do get one. But once you do it, it's integrated into your system, and so I have Luigi's Mansion in my Steam library, and it's got a custom banner, and it's got the little Luigi logo, and so it's like choosing a game from a library, not clicking the ROM file and opening it from this, just a folder or whatever. It integrates all games that you have on there, no matter their source, in a really fluid way, and that's what really connects me to it. I'm like, I would much rather play any emulated game on here, because it's like I own it, but I don't.
Yeah, it's. I think part of my issue with it is it's just so solely quality of life, in the sense that anything I would play on my deck, I could play elsewhere.
Yeah, probably.
But
that's all. Fire Wrench, I think, is available on PS4, but it might have been removed from the eShop.
But what I mean is, even though it's not my preferred way to play games, I could just play stuff on my computer.
Of course, yes, of course.
And my thing is, with the exception of upgrading my Nintendo devices, which I just really enjoy doing, I have a really hard time justifying the upgrade of something solely on the basis of convenience.
Sure.
Or a lack of a material benefit that I didn't have before. So it took me so fucking long to upgrade my TV, for instance. I was using an LG TV that I was struggling to hit 1080p until the end of last year, when I finally bought a 4K TV. It's not even a nice one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a hard thing for me to swallow, but I do just think that even though everything I could play on there, I could play somewhere else.
Yeah.
I would just the enjoyment factor I'd have from having one would be really high.
Yeah.
So I need to play with it a little bit more, I think.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I'm being worn down from many sides right now to get a Steam Deck.
Yeah. I love mine. And I played it on there.
Yay.
But that was a quick one, relatively.
Your quick ones aren't that quick. I'm just
but
no, I get it.
You don't know what fly wrench is, and no one in the audience knows what fly. I gotta just fucking describe
it. I agree.
I also feel like I'm on a roll today. I feel like I'm doing a good job describing.
You're doing a great job. You don't give yourself enough credit. So I'm putting this on camera right now. Tucker, you're very good at this. And
well,
always
I think I'm doing better right now than I usually do.
Sure.
Because sometimes I'll be describing a game, I'm like, what the fuck am I saying? Does this make any sense to anyone? I'm like, did I even say the name of the game? I don't know.
I'm sitting here and I'm telling you, we do this all the time. You always sound great. You're sounding great now as you sound great before. Hit me with another game, though. I think you need to do one more.
Yeah. Another relatively quick one, because this one is a game that people are familiar with. It's a game that I was familiar with before I played it, and that is Super Hot.
I see. Yeah.
And Super Hot is you know what it is. Red guys, time moves when you move. And that's it. And the only experience I had with Super Hot is before it even came out, when it was a browser game.
Yeah.
It was an experimental browser game that my friend Ethan Dinsner in middle school was really into. And I would have sleepovers at his house, I would sit on his bed and I would hear Super Hot. And we would just like walk around the house saying Super Hot all the time. And I never played the game when it came out. Yeah. But I always knew that it was interesting and that it was clever, and that was one of the really good examples of an indie game committing to a mechanic that reinterprets the way that you know first person action to be, and watching like Donkey play it and be like, it just makes you become John Wick, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds awesome. But Tanner, that's his name. Tanner has it. He has it on PS4, and it's been downloaded because he will jump in and play a level now and again. Tanner's like that with games. He plays Cluster Truck the exact same way. He's been playing that game since I fucking met him, and I don't think he's ever finished like a world of it. That's an exaggeration, but Super Hot finally sat down. I'm like, Super Hot has a campaign.
Yes.
I want to see it to the end, and I did it in one sitting because it's like an hour and 45 minutes. And I really, goddamn, Super Hot. It is what you know it to be, but like that's fucking awesome and it's cool. And the only surprise, I guess, is that the game does build itself around this meta narrative of that Super Hot is this illegal game that people are like trading on the dark web.
Right.
And your brain is sucked into it, and then they like program AI like tries to like suck you into the game, and then it kills your actual body, and so your brain is converted into like an AI that's attacking other people, and like there's this narrative around it that doesn't impact the gameplay very much, except for about 3/4 of the way through you get the ability to swap into enemies' bodies, which is pretty cool, and does impact the way that you're approaching the levels. And then the game ends, and it's like, make sure to tell your friends Super Hot. Go play Super Hot. It's this it's the most creative and innovative shooter I've played in years. And then I'm like, all right, I'll do it. So I just like tagged you on Twitter, and I copy and pasted the exact same thing because I thought it'd be funny. But yeah, really like Super Hot, and it's such a short, condensed game, but also like there's an endless mode, and it's so visually distinct with its reds, and there's not really a score because it's just like, as Donkey described it, the sounds of blood and glass, and I'm like, he's fucking right. It's awesome. Super Hot's so cool.
Yeah, I love Super Hot. I really want to play Super Hot VR because Super Hot VR isn't just Super Hot put into VR.
I'm pretty sure it's a different game,
Yeah, it's been totally retooled for VR, and that just sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But more eminently because I just don't, like, I've got PSVR 1, but I just don't want to use it ever if I can avoid it. I want to play Mind Control Delete, which is the sequel, which I've never played.
Really? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, Super Hot Mind Control Delete. I believe it is not nearly as well received as the first game, but I want to play it nonetheless because I don't really understand how you make a Super Hot game that's not good. And I believe it's still considered a good game, but not the same height.
60% off on Steam right now. I didn't know about that. Okay, I'll do some research.
Yeah, never played it, but the Super Hot's fucking awesome.
Super hot. Yep.
Hot. I want to talk to you about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Because
the booster course.
Yeah. Booster course. I I want to touch base on this because I don't think I've reflected on
Have you
any
considered
of the
touching grass on
DLC.
it?
I don't think I've talked about any of the DLC here, but we of course talked about that first wave in its dedicated video. But of course, Wave 4 literally just came out, and
25 minutes ago.
what it's the booster course pass is becoming a really interesting thing. Because Nintendo keeps recontextualizing what it is.
Mm-hmm. Even to the point that people are saying that there might be a second set of courses because they've removed like terminology from it that implies that there's only the 6 packs. So they might do another set, which would be insane.
I missed that. That's very interesting.
Might.
No, yeah.
Speculation.
What they did for Wave 4 is not only is there a brand new track in Yoshi's Island, but they introduced Birdo, but then they pulled the real fucking humdinger of a move on us and just said Birdo's coming. And then we booted up we booted up 8 Deluxe, and they have 5 more question mark I pulled up 6. 5 more question mark slots.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be substantial.
Yeah.
So not only are we getting new courses we didn't expect, but now we're getting new characters, and they continue to increase the fidelity of the tracks for the most part. And this is where I want to get into it a little bit. It's really exciting what the booster course pass to become, and they also added what you didn't mention, which they didn't even market at all, and still have it be on like a tweet. There is now a full item toggle in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so you can pick which items to race with and which not to.
Now, do we know if that's an update or a function of the booster course pass itself?
I believe that's just an update to the core game.
Well, that's good. That's a good thing. Because I'm
Yeah.
like, paying for that.
Yeah. They're just like revisiting Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in a kind of major way.
Yeah.
And the tracks are really great, especially from Tour. I just don't play Tour because I'm just not going to play Mario Kart on my phone.
Yeah.
I've tried it a little bit, and I don't like how it plays. It's not for me. But those courses are so remarkable. They're based on real world locations, people are kind of split on. I like that. But what's really great about them is that the courses are so much more dynamic than traditional Mario Kart courses. Not just in the ways that 7 introduced, like the 3 section tracks, which I think are really compelling.
Controlled differently and are visually different, but ostensibly it's just you're going the same way.
It's basically like, let's make a track that's just one Mondo lap, you could say, whatever you want to say. Even though like Mount Wario, is fun because you start in a plane and you end at the bottom of the mountain. So there's clever ideas like that. But what's interesting about the Tour courses is that, like the 3 section courses, each lap is different, but these are built in a way so you're still traversing the same overarching area. New paths just open and funnel you in different ways through this place.
Yeah.
So you're still doing revolutions, but they're different every time. And I think it's really great design. And to me, it's kind of the future of where a lot of Mario Kart track design should go.
Yeah, because it's really a kind of track design that hadn't been touched to that point. Yeah. So honestly, if you had sat me down and said, hey, what's Mario Kart 9 going to be? What are the tracks going to be like? If without the context of Tour, I wouldn't have even thought that, different paths on different laps. But you're right. That is absolutely the future of the series, I think.
Yeah, it's super fun. And the returning courses are a mix of fine to really quite compelling in the fan favorites. Obviously, DK Summit was just added in Wave 4, which people have really wanted, and I really want to because it's a great track. And they're also doing some interesting things. Like there's one called River Parkway, which is a GBA course, and as you and I know from playing Super Circuit, those courses are not good.
Yeah.
What they do here is, the piranha creepers, which kind of pedal around on 2 feet and are blowing air to hoist a ball in there and then shoot it at you.
Aren't those called patuis?
I thought they're called piranha creepers.
But we'll do some research. Right. Continue talking.
It would make way more sense if they're called patuis. So I might just be confusing my terminology. I probably am. No, you're totally right, because the piranha creepers are the purple ones.
Yep.
Lie on the ground.
They come out of tubes. Yep.
The patuis. These ones hold items in the air.
Oh.
And what's cool about that is when you hit them, you activate their gag reflex and they go, and they shoot the item out.
Oh, that's fun.
Now, what I like about this is not only does it make a GBA track more dynamic, but it gives your item that you have another function opposed to just hitting a racer or being defense.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Suddenly, your item is a way to get a new one.
Mm-hmm.
You got a green shell, but what you really need is a mushroom. Okay, the patooey has the mushroom. Let's hit the patooey, grab the mushroom.
Yeah.
So there's little ideas like this that I can see them kind of experimenting.
Yeah,
the tour tracks in this with all these different ways to engage with the Mario Kart tracks. So I love all of that. And the Yoshi's Island course, straight up fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's beautifully themed. It's really robust in how it recreates Yoshi's Island down to the sound effects and just fun little track gimmicks I really appreciate. So on the whole, the Booster Course Pass is maybe my favorite DLC initiative Nintendo's ever done.
Yeah.
Because it so directly answers the only problem, in my opinion, with 8 Deluxe, which is there's not more 8 Deluxe.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why I, of course, like Smash speculation, and it's fun to get new Smash characters, but why they don't move the needle for me that much is because there's already 80 characters in Smash Ultimate.
Yeah.
And even in Smash 4 for Wii U, there's so many characters, there's so many stages. Getting one new character, one new stage, it's cool, but I don't play competitively, so the meta doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Getting these substantive additions to Mario Kart, for me, is totally different and more meaningful.
Yeah.
The issue, though, is that I feel like we got the fidelity of these tracks increased because people were widely critical of how Wave 1 looked. And 2 was better, 3 was excellent, 4 is about 50-50. There's a couple courses here in particular, Mario Circuit and Waluigi Stadium, which look straight up bad. And I think it's just disappointing that when we spent so much time improving the fidelity, we're now getting tracks that are like genuinely ugly, particularly Waluigi Stadium, where like the mud dirt texture looks like something that should be out of like the motocross Monster Energy game that comes out every year. And like there's flat 2D toads jumping in the stadiums.
Yeah.
But it's angled in a way so you can see that they're flat. Like there's not even, it doesn't even give the accurate illusion of them being actual models. So it just makes me wonder why on individual tracks corners are getting cut. When on the whole we're doing so much to make Mario Kart so much bigger and more expansive and giving us more than we expected at a Booster Course Pass.
Yeah.
But a couple tracks just aren't quite there. Now Choco Choco Mountain got updated from Wave 1 when Wave 2 came out. Same with Coconut Mall, so I'd hope it's the same thing here. But just get it right the first time, you know? You just make that texture better. Because it's noticeable. Not in the way that like Wave 1 is noticeable, that there's a gulf in terms of visual style and art direction between the base game and the Wave. Now it's like you're playing the new cup, and half of the cup looks exceptional, and half of the cup looks really poor.
Yeah.
But on the whole, I'm smitten with the Booster Course Pass. Love, love, love it. It's added so much to one of my favorite games of all time, and I'm just really pleased that they're doing even more. So give me the Kongs from Tour, give me Captain Toad, because Jean will like Captain Toad, but give me the really wacky characters that Tour has, because Tour has such a great roster. So 5 slots, we'll see. I think Pauline's getting one. I think there'll be probably 2 Kongs, and it'll be up to whatever those other 2 slots
Nabbit?
Could be Nabbit, could be Kamek. Lots of options.
Yeah. Could be Donkey Kong Jr. Let's go.
DK Jr. is in Tour.
Yeah. This is like the Pixel Donkey Kong Jr.
Yeah.
This is the Pixel Mario, like the SNES Mario. That's fun. Oh, God, I just said SNES. Oh, I don't like that. I hate when people say that. NES. Shut the fuck up. You know it's an NES. Shut the fuck up.
That's a big European thing to do.
All
my friends.
That's their biggest problem.
Yeah, all my friends in Boston call it the SNES with NES. That's not what it is, guys.
Have you considered punching them in the face? Maybe that would fix that issue.
Well, I do, but I hit my laptop, because it's remote.
Yeah.
When I get back to the UK, I'll wind up and say, what's the name of Nintendo's 4th generation system? And we'll see what happens.
Okay. I'm gonna do a couple other quick fire ones before I get to the major.
The major rock block.
Yeah. I played Wario World for like 30 minutes, and Wario World is a GameCube Wario 3D platformer
made by Treasure,
where you traverse 3D levels, but they're linear 3D levels.
It's more of a beat 'em up.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I don't know, kind of. But there's enough platforming to where it's kind of not also. And you have to ground pound through these little holes in the ground and complete mini challenges to get enough crystals to unlock the portal at the end of the stage. And it's, I just don't think it's a very well structured game from what I played of it, because there isn't much incentive to engaging with the overworld other than the function of unlocking these little wells where there's the actual collectibles. And there's so much stuff going on. Every enemy throws out like 20 coins, and there's like 10 different kinds of crystals, and you have to get a certain amount, but it's not everything in the stage. And when you finish the stage, it's like, you actually only got like 30% of what's in here because there's just so much shit in here. And I don't know. I think it's interesting they made a Wario 3D platformer, but they didn't make like a Wario 3D platformer. They made a Wario 3D platformer. And I don't think that Wario, as like his farting and using his bash, is great enough in 3D for me to like want to spend, 8 or 9 hours in this game. So I don't know, 30 minutes of it, I experimented with it, but I just, I don't know. It didn't really work out for me.
I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody that says Wario World's more than okay.
Yeah.
I would like to play it just because I love Wario and I love Treasure. Mm-hmm. As much as Wario loves
World.
I do love the world. But yeah, I don't really have anything more to say than that, other than at some point, like, give it a try. But it's not a game held in high regard by.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I guess my mind automatically goes to, if a game is on GameCube, then people think it's great. Because I mean, that seems to be the general sentiment across the board. Not necessarily one that I agree with. But maybe this is an exception. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, not every game on GameCube is great, not by any stretch of imagination.
I also played Mario Party 1 with Franz, Eric, and Andrew. It's fine. Yeah, took us like 50 minutes. We did play it, or like an hour and a half. We played through a course and okay. It's the only old Mario Party games pre like 9 that I've played. So
yeah,
but to me, and maybe it's just because I haven't played the ones in the middle, the GameCube ones that are apparently more experimental. It's kind of crazy how little has actually changed. I was playing, I'm like, yup. Yeah. But I also played Tokyo Jungle, which is a PlayStation Network PS3 game.
Yeah.
That Colin Moriarty really loves, and I'd always heard things about it, but I'm like, no one really talks about this game, and it doesn't have like a fan base. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I tried it. I went on PS Plus Premium. I downloaded that from the Classics collection, and I played about an hour of it, and I don't think this is a very good game. It is sold on the concept of that animals are the only creatures left in an urban jungle in Tokyo, and there are all sorts of animals. It's pets. Pets are roaming free. They've freed all the zoo animals. Farm animals are everywhere. Why? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I think that's funny. And your goal is to kill other animals if you're a carnivore. Raise your level by killing more animals. Walk over to a spot and press circle to mark it as your own. And then once you're high enough level, because you've killed enough guys and eaten enough guys and pissed on enough spots, then you unlock the ability to attract a mate. And then you get it on with your doggy buddy or your goose buddy or whatever the hell it is, and then you're
no stranger to that.
And then you assume control of the next generation, and you just try to survive as long as you can. But I think that on concept, that loop of continuing the generations, and it carries over a little bit of the stats that you've gained from generation to generation. I think that is pretty interesting. Of course, the fact that it's animals in a city, it's pretty fun visually and conceptually. But on a game structure level, I think it's pretty weak, because most of what you're doing moment to moment is not very engaging. Your character's not very fast. The killing of other animals boils down to, if you are in range, you tap L2. And then you automatically kill them. Although you also have like a swipe attack that you can use with like square. And then, as I said, the like claiming territory as your own is just you see the glowing spot on the ground with a marker over it, you press circle, and then that spot is your spot now. And then just kind of that over and over again. And that combined with the fact that the levels are very corridor based. It's not like a big semi-open world. You're going down a corridor and then you turn a corridor and that's another corridor and then connect to another corridor. That makes it feel very restrictive. And because the moment-to-moment gameplay is very simplistic, I don't really sense that there's much depth to this game. And I could be wrong. It could be once you play 5 hours of it and you lock enough fucking other animals to play as and you really start noticing the nuances. But it's not a game that I think gives a very good first impression. Because there's like a 25-minute tutorial to teach you that you need to walk over to this thing and press circle to make it your spot. And then that like hour that I played of the runs of like trying to stay alive and get more generations, I didn't really find that much to be engaged by. So I'm pretty disappointed by Tokyo Jungle.
I got nothing to say about it. I haven't played it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anything of what I've described sound interesting to you? Like, or maybe I'm missing something?
I mean, I don't know. I can't know what you're missing out of the thing that I basically don't understand.
Sure,
but I do like the concept a lot. So I think I would like to try it at some point.
Sure. Yeah. And as you should, because you have PS Plus.
Yes, and I have to find value in that somehow.
Yep. Through Tokyo Jungle. Okay. Got another game?
Yeah, I realized there's one other game I forgot about to check in there, and that's Pac-Man Museum Plus.
What? Really?
Yeah, on Switch. I bought it when it was on sale, and I really bought it for one specific reason. I wanted to play Pac-Man Championship Edition.
Ah, yeah.
And Pac-Man Championship Edition is really fucking cool. But I want to talk first about the overall compilation, because I think it's actually quite interesting how Museum Plus is structured.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the game has a little hub area that's an actual arcade, and you walk around it as Pac-Man, and you go to different cabinets for the different titles, and you play them via that. It's largely just like a framing thing, but I find that to be quite nice. I screwed around with a bunch of the other games. I didn't really find them that interesting.
Yeah.
Again, I'd rather play Pac-Man in the cabinet in an actual arcade, or Championship Edition, which I hadn't played before but now have, and sort of feel as definitive. Mm-hmm. It's a lot. It reminds me a lot of like when I played Tetris Effect for the first time, which, by the way, just got a vertical mode on Switch. I don't really have much more to say about it than that, but that is a beautiful way to play the game. Yeah. But Championship Edition reminds me a lot of when I played that game for the first time, in that I felt, okay, yep, this is now Pac-Man. Rename this Pac-Man. Rename this Tetris. There's no other version.
I see.
Of this
game. Gotcha. Okay.
It's the new one. This is the standard. Because Championship Edition is structured quite differently than the regular Pac-Man. You're not loading into a board with all of the power pellets and everything. You have to clear the board, you move to the next board. It's time-based, and you're basically collecting small groups of power pellets to grab fruit, which throws more pellets, and it's a cyclical loop of gathering pellets, gathering fruit, eating ghosts. Each of those actions filling in something else on the field. Get as many points as you can in 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's just stylish. It's incredibly fun. And I just find the overall package, for anyone that's interested in how Pac-Man is more than just Pac-Man, it's worth giving a shot. And there's so many variations of this core gameplay formula. But I have to say, really, the only one I find that interesting is Championship Edition. But I find that so interesting that it easily justified the like $12 I paid for this.
Sure. Yeah. I think Championship Edition 2 on
Which
Switch.
is a very different game.
Okay. I didn't realize that. But I played a little bit of it. It's not something I got super into, but I only played like 30 minutes of it. So, yeah. What? Sorry. Are you gonna try the other games in that museum collection?
Yeah, I tried a couple of them. To be honest with you, I couldn't even tell you what their names were. Like
they're all very similar.
Pac-Mania.
Yeah, that's the one that's like isometric.
Yeah, Pax-A-Million, Half Price
That's
Pax.
not real. No,
Pac-Man
Noble Junior, Super Pac-Man.
I played one that's like kind of isometric, and it looked like it's in a realm of Lego.
Yeah, that's Pac-Mania, right?
That's Pac-Mania.
Yeah, the first level the first world in Pac-Mania is Lego themed, which is weird.
It's really, I wanted to make it explicitly clear that I bought this like a play Championship Edition.
Yeah, okay, I'm just curious.
It turns out that there's like you can just buy Championship Edition standalone on Switch, which I didn't know.
Oh,
but like whatever, it's
now you have access to the other games.
Because again, I think the framing is quite interesting, and there are pretty robust challenges to complete for each title. So I'd recommend the compilation, but I'd really just say find Championship Edition wherever you can. And I have been told that Championship Edition DX, which is not on Switch, is the better version. So just maybe go to a different platform, but I like having it portably. So
is that all she wrote?
that's all she wrote. I still have 2 more games.
Okay. It's time for Rock Block. Block, known as Resident Evil. Super hot Resident Evil. Resident Evil. This franchise I've talked about a couple times on here. We reviewed Resident Evil 4 back at the beginning of 2021. And I liked that game, but it didn't blow me away. I played Resident Evil 2 Remake a little bit before that, and I thought that game was fantastic. Exploring the RPD police department is awesome. That's one of my favorite fucking places in a goddamn video game. And then we talked a little bit about Village, but didn't review it because you and Tanner didn't finish it, which is a classic late 2021, early 2022 thing where we bought a bunch of games and then I played them in a week because we're going to review it and then whatever. But yes. I liked all those games.
Yes.
My ranking as of then was Resident Evil 2 Remake, Village, and 4. And I've always looked at Resident Evil 7 and I'd be like, this is the one that seems like it would appeal to me most on a design like a design structure level. And I did get around to it. I played that game this week. I was going to be talking about. Because it takes the small, compact nature of the RPD from Resident Evil 2, but with the horror elements of Village, which I also had played, and a little more sickly aesthetic, a little bit grosser, a little more southern.
It's definitely sickly.
And I was right. I started up Resident Evil 7, and I gotta be 100% honest, the only complaint that I have, and it's a similar complaint that I have for Resident Evil Village, is I hate Ethan Winters more than it's possible for me to fucking express. Like, every time this guy opens his fucking mouth, my bones cringe. I saw, like, a person with, like, 6 arms and, like, no hair and, like, 7 tails or whatever crawling out of a tunnel, and he's like, well, that was something special. I'm like, shut the fuck up, Ethan Winters. Shut the fuck up, please. Holy shit. So I hate Ethan Winters. But good thing is you don't have to see much of Ethan Winters because this game is in first person. And I do think that really adds to the immersion of being in the Baker household. And sneaking around corners and going into little tunnels and stuff. It is a lot more compact and claustrophobic because you are experiencing it in first person. Of course, there's also a VR mode, which I wasn't able to try. But I love this game. The Baker household and the way that it is sort of a mansion connected to other buildings, and there's a greenhouse, and each family member has an area of the house that sort of corresponds to their personality, and each segment of the game plays a little bit differently because of that. I found this game to be incredibly immersive, super well designed, very well paced. I was going from area to area and I was unlocking things, and everything connects back in really fluid ways. So there's a little quote unquote hub area in the middle. So once you finish a section, you can go back and like drop a couple coins in this thing and get an upgrade and run back with the new key that you have to the old area. And like Resident Evil's structure of getting keys and remembering what's there, and not the old Resident Evil thing of like combining items to like unlock the door, like obtuse adventure game horse shit. That obviously is completely eschewed in the modern games, and I think all the better for it. Resident Evil 7 has such compelling villains in the Baker family of Lucas and Jack always coming back, and the fact that you are just experiencing a place in a game that I've never seen be a place in a game before, which is like a rotting mansion in the bayou. Phenomenal game. One of my favorite Resident Evil game as of now. I haven't played all of them. I struggle to imagine that 5 and 6 will surpass it, but it's not impossible. And I love Resident Evil 7. I really think it's a phenomenal game. And it makes so much sense that like it revived the franchise because it is that good. 2017 is fucking insane. It's fucking what a crazy fucking year. Goddamn.
But that's not the only Resident Evil game you played.
No, it's not, because right after that I went and played Resident Evil Remake. The GameCube the PS4 remaster of the GameCube remake of the PS1 game. So at the bones of this game is still 65% of a PS1 game. It's based around tank controls and the locked camera angles and the arcane adventure game horseshit that I was referencing a little bit earlier. And I like this game. I think it's good. I think that the Spencer Mansion is a phenomenal location. I think that uncovering the secrets of Umbrella Corporation and the whole story and lore behind it is absolutely fascinating. But I don't think it holds up that well. I think that the immersion is really broken when you can only see this incredibly designed place from a handful of selective angles with the what's the word for that, the locked
camera
fixed camera, yeah, thank you, the fixed camera angles in different like corners of the house, sometimes under a table or whatever. And there is a cleverness in that, and I think that the fact that they were able to do that and make this game look as good as it does is absolutely for the better. This game holds up incredibly well, but obviously it's been HDified by the PS4 version, but even you go back and look at the GameCube one, yeah, goddamn, Jesus Christ, this game looks good. And the particle effects and the reflections of like, holy shit. But it's because the processing power of the game is so limited because it's not rendering a full 3D space. But I do think that the game, I contend that the game would absolutely be better if Spencer Mansion was a full 3D place and you were able to really get up in the nitty gritty of looking at the design of this mansion and looking up at the ceilings and down in the corners and stuff and seeing what's behind the other walls. The fixed camera angle element of this game is, or I would say was, its strength back in the day, but I don't believe that strength continues to today because it decreases my immersion in this otherwise very intricately and gorgeously rendered location. And I don't like Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield in this goddamn game. They are as generic as fucking characters you can get. Jill Valentine just like does a couple cool action things, but otherwise she's just like, okay, I'll go unlock this door. And that's it. And not having a character to latch onto like I did with the Baker family in 7 or Leon and Claire in 2, or the other villains in 8, definitely decreased my attachment to this world because I'm like, if Chris dies, whatever. If Jill gets turned into a sandwich, that's her problem, I guess. But I like Resident Evil Remake.
Yeah.
But I'm going to 100% say the reason that I like it as much as I did is because I didn't have to deal with any of the arcane adventure game horseshit because I had a fucking guardian angel for literally my entire runtime of this game. Angela Roscoe of My Star Wars Show fame guided me through this entire game. And that is absolutely the right way for me to experience that game because I was able to immerse myself in this world without being frustrated, without having to do a ton of backtracking because he'd be like, hold on, make sure you've got 3 inventory slots open here so that when you go all the way down this hallway and you figure out, oh God, I have to pick up 3 things, I have to go all the way back and drop something off because the game is structured of limited inventory space. It's a pro and a con. But him leading me through it and giving me hints and telling me, okay, this actually goes there in this way that's not necessarily particularly clear, that really helped me through this game, and I finished it. And I've played Resident Evil 1. I know what the structure and the story and the world of that game is, but it is my least favorite Resident Evil game because I do think there's too many, in my experience, old game elements that detract from what I believe Resident Evil is good at to where I can't recommend it over any of the other ones. But I've played it.
Yeah, I've played it on GameCube. I never beat it on GameCube. I just don't like Resident Evil that much. Yeah. I mean, it's just that simple for me. The only Resident Evil game I really do enjoy is Resident Evil 4. Mm-hmm. I have the Chainsaw demo installed. I had a lot of work I had to do last night, and then my Star Wars show recording to do, so I didn't get to play the Chainsaw demo yet. But I want to try 5, which I already own, and Resident Evil Revelations, which are more action oriented. Obviously, yes. 6 being the most action oriented.
All those are on PS Plus, by the way.
Are they really?
Yeah.
But on PS3 though. I don't want to
because PS4 had remakes of all. Yeah.
Oh, it's those, but it's those versions.
It's like PS. Oh, it's like Resident Evil 5 Gold Edition or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. Okay, well, yeah, I was just concerned that it's like a Ratchet and Clank situation of like they gave us the fucking stupid PS3 version.
Yeah, no. As far as I know, I mean, I didn't try them, but
Yeah.
as far as I know,
but you played one more Resident Evil
I
game.
did. I played the other more action oriented Resident Evil game, Resident Evil 3, but not Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 3 remake, which to this point I had only ever heard mixed to negative things on. Is that okay? 2 remake revolutionary is what they can do with remakes, and obviously I love that game. You like that game quite a bit as well. I thought you did. And
the IPD part.
And 3, so do I. Yes, that's a problem with Resident Evil games is they put the worst parts at the end, and so it leaves you with like a taste.
So I didn't finish Village either.
Yeah, no, true.
Like the castle.
God, Demonstress Manor is fucking awesome. That's a great goddamn location.
It's everything that's great about the Spencer Mansion, but better.
Yeah.
And big hot women walking around.
Yep. But Resident Evil 3 remake, as I said, I'd only heard negative things, but I knew that the game
79 on Metacritic, by the way, for this game.
Well, okay, that's... I would say that the conversation around that game does not reflect, or the Metacritic does not reflect what I've heard the conversation to be, is that it's not as good as 2, and it's a little bit underwhelming. But, fuck, I don't care. I love this game. Resident Evil 3 remake is the action-oriented Resident Evil game that I was looking for. And I really hope that Resident Evil 4 remake is able to continue that trend with the modernizations in a way that allows that kind of gameplay style to speak to me a little more. And Resident Evil 3 remake, what I found was a really fascinating balance between smaller Resident Evil style areas where you're going in, you're finding the key, you're backtracking a little bit, you're getting a lay of the land, mixed in with segments in between that are that more action-oriented thing. You're Jill, you're running away from Nemesis, you're making sure that you're dodging things, you're using QuickTime events and stuff like that, that keep the balance and flow and pacing this game incredibly addicting to me. I played this 6.5-hour game in basically one sitting because every time I finish an area, I'm like, okay, well, I might as well go on to the next one. This game's not that long. The pacing is really engaging, and I think it's the best of both worlds, to be 100% honest. It's not my favorite Resident Evil game, but I think it might be my second favorite because I don't have the issue with it that I do with 2, which is that I don't think that second half of 2 is as compelling as the first half. But Resident Evil 3, you've got this semi-open area that's like this Raccoon City town that you're going around in, and you're going into the shops, and you find the bolt cutters, and then you can go back and unlock some other doors and find an item there, and then once you progress, you've got another item, and it's so addicting in that feedback loop of what Resident Evil is great at, but it also, I think, balances out with great gunplay and good action set pieces and stuff that the other games have occasionally, but they're not the strength of those games. And it made Jill Valentine a real character. She has a personality. She's got this conflict of the fact that she's helping out people that are associated with Umbrella Corporation. Actually, that's where the name Carlos came from. You've got your friend Carlos here, who you're working alongside. He's not a great character, but he's solid. And she made her my favorite Resident Evil character. And I'm excited and interested to see her in... I think she's in 5. She's in one of the 5 or 6. But I like Jill a lot. Jill Valentine is my favorite.
Chris is in 5.
Okay. Jill Valentine is now my favorite Resident Evil character, and I think that people give Resident Evil 3 Remake too much shit. I think it's awesome.
Is Resident Evil 6 just straight up a third-person shooter?
I don't know. I haven't played it. As far as I know, maybe. Because apparently that's what's wrong with it, but also maybe that's a good thing.
This is a game I almost bought. I just thought to myself, I shouldn't spend the money. I almost bought Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse.
Yeah.
I just thought it'd be fun to try.
Mm-hmm.
But what I keep coming back to is, and we talked about this when I briefly mentioned how I, for whatever reason, bought Callisto Protocol and Dead Space.
Yeah.
Of just like, I want a game that's spooky, but I don't want a game that has a lot of atmosphere. Because I think part of my problem with Resident Evil, let me clarify. A lot of my problem with Resident Evil is they really want me to believe that I'm supposed to be scared of all these things. And I contend that I probably would be scared of the Baker family. Yes. 100%.
Yeah, probably.
Not denying that. That's almost definitely going to be true.
Yeah.
Because I'll try that game at some point. But like, you're not going to scare me. So I want to do more than just like kind of walk around and pick shit up and like, like manage my ammo and everything, right?
Yeah.
if Resident Evil 6 is just me shooting some zombies as like Leon, because I know it's Leon and Jill, I believe, are the protagonists of that game.
Couldn't tell you.
And it's just spooky in like a campy way, but it's a shooter, I'd probably like it a lot.
Yeah. And maybe 5 also falls into that camp. I wouldn't know.
5 doesn't quite. 5, now I want to, now, there's something I do that you don't like, but I do it all the time to you. And I apologize, and then I keep doing it to you. I say we should play a game in co-op.
Oh, you're right. You do that a lot. Yes.
I do this all the time. Resident Evil 5 is entirely co-op.
You can't play it in single player?
You can, but it is a co-op game.
Okay. Oh no, I knew that. Yeah. We could try it together. I don't think that's a very short game, so it would have to be a time where we're making sure that we're actually going to play this fucking game. But yeah. I'd love to do that. I think that would be the proper way to experience that. And also, let's go back to It Takes Two, please.
I mean, we're going on a trip with our girlfriends. We're gonna end up in some department store for a day, right? As they're buying clothes or whatever. So we can play Resident Evil 5 on our Switches.
On what, the mall Wi-Fi?
Fucking local communication, right? You rub two Switches together and they connect to each other. Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I've ever done local communication like that on Switch.
Did you know what Switch can do is really interesting? You can use a local.
You can actually take it on the go.
You can use local connection to update your software to a more recent version via local from somebody else who has an updated version of the game.
Oh, that's fucking crazy.
So, like, if somebody bought Splatoon 3 off the shelf, so it's 1.0 on the cart, put that in their Switch, and then in the middle of the fucking Sahara Desert, put their Switch next to my Switch, they could update to the newest version of Splatoon 3.
Yeah. Huh.
That's nuts.
That's crazy. Interesting.
Yeah. Best Resident Evil game, by the way. The Dark Side Chronicles.
Is that actually your favorite one? Or are you just fucking around?
No, I like that game.
Do you like more than 4?
It's just a... No, I definitely like more than 4.
Well, you just said that.
But it's a... Oh, well, I didn't mean it.
Okay.
It's a light gun game.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to use this as a segue into Sin and Punishment's Star Successor. Because I'm feeling a desire to buy some more light gun games.
Yeah.
And I was thinking actually about Dark Side Chronicles, which I've only ever played with my aunt, and Dead Space Extraction, which is a light gun Dead Space game on Wii. But that's a sidebar. I played Sin and Punishment Star Successor.
You did.
To completion.
I heard you go to completion. Yeah.
I played the game for like 7 hours because it's not easy.
No.
And it's not short, but it's not long. It's long, but it's not short. It's short, but it's long. And here's the situation about this game. I need a second, okay? Compose yourself, Tucker. I love Sin and Punishment, as everybody watching this video knows. But despite trying to play Star Successor in a couple of times in the past, I could never really get into it. And it took me a little bit of time, this completion of the game, to understand why, really. And it's because, structurally, it really isn't that much like the original. It's still about score, it's still about replayability, but in a way very similar to what Star Fox Assault is to 64, in that the main appeal of the game is not hyper short replayability. It's a larger, more modern cinematic campaign that you can then replay chunks of for score if you want to.
Okay.
Sin and Punishment is much more about constructing this big, sprawling, multi-geographic, hyper-stylized, bombastic action title than it is about cutting to the bone for a 45-minute arcade experience.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Much like what Namco saw with Assault, is they said, look, we're in a different time now. How can we make the arcade gameplay be a little bit bigger? Mm-hmm. And do it in a way that isn't the new Pokemon Snap thing of just padding the shit out of the game.
Yeah.
They said, let's shift the focus. And the result, when I met Sin and Punishment Star Successor on its own terms in that way, is one of the most fucking crazy and awesome action games ever made. And what makes Sin and Punishment so great, Star Successor so great, is that it's quite hard and there is so much going on. And it strikes a really interesting balance where you're going these crazy on rails sections as you're being pushed through these diverse environments where literally basically every inch of the screen has a target on it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're trying to build up combos and maintain your score and show all kinds of stuff. But those sections are actually quite breezy. They're almost like a respite to when you get to a boss battle.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many bosses in this game. And they just kick your fucking teeth in. Or at least they kick mine in. And I'd be willing to wager they kick a lot of people's teeth in then, because I play a lot of games like this.
I'd probably be able to do it.
Yeah? You could, because it's challenging, but there's no life system. You're right back in front of the boss when you die. You can try again. It refills your health bar, so you don't have to worry about like, oh, I triggered the boss fight at half health. Yeah. I'm going to keep having to fight at half health.
That's some old game shit that fucking drive me bonkers.
Yeah,
bonkers, mate.
And so I was just really smitten by the sense of spectacle and the sense of reinvention. You're always in a new environment, and every boss is challenging you in a different way. And that gauntlet just ramps up and up and up to where I was playing the final area, and I was like, I straight up don't know if I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't put it down because it's just so effective, because it's so sharp. But it's sharp for a longer period of time. It's a different sort of sharpness.
Yeah, sure. It's like someone cutting off your leg over the course of 7 hours versus over the course of 45 minutes.
Yeah, but only if you're a masochist, so you find pleasure in that experience.
Exactly.
So
it's like the analogy I made for Justice League versus Snyder Cut, where I was like, yes. It's like someone cutting off your toes versus stubbing your toe. I'm like, they're both bad, but I'd rather one that's over with faster.
Sure. So yeah, I went into Sin and Punishment's Successor this time with the expectation of trying to diagnose why I don't like the game as much as the original. And came out the other side of it with an understanding of why I like it so much, but why that enjoyment is quite different than the original. And it's very much a 64 Assault situation.
Cool. Great. I didn't know you liked Assault that much, or maybe I'm just misremembering.
I think Assault's a great game.
Oh, okay.
I think Assault is a much more flawed game than Star Successor is. But I think it's still a great game. It's very ambitious. It was the last good Star Fox sequel after 64.
Sure. You haven't played Command.
I haven't, but I don't think I'm going to like it very much, to be honest with you.
Okay. Is that it? Are we done?
I have one more.
Oh, you do?
We timed it out poorly. Yeah.
Well, I timed out what poorly?
Or spaced out, making sure we went back and forth.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Tucker, you're not going to like this one.
I never do when you're talking about a game.
But it's back.
Halo Infinite.
Halo is back.
Season 3, baby. Let's fucking go. I'm so excited.
And here... So Halo Infinite is back for its third season. 18 months after release? We're only on season 3.
Yeah.
They've been doing 6-month seasons. There is no disputing that Halo Infinite has been bungled by 343. But I want to really commend them, because that snowball, while it's taken a lot of time to build momentum, has now resulted in a game that I think is actually very, very good.
Good.
Because now we have not only the quality of life changes and options that should have been there from the start, and new maps and modes, but now we have Forge and we have custom games, and the whole kit and caboodle, pardon my language, is here.
Oh, pardon it.
I just really love the new maps and modes added here. I think Big Team Battle has really been refreshed with the Osiris map. Yeah. I think that these small arcade modes that have been introduced here, Team Escalation, which is team gun game if you're more of a COD player, is a lot of fun. The new Bandit rifle is quite good. The main point to express here is that if you haven't played Halo Infinite since launch, you'll be booting up a different game.
Yeah.
And a much, much, much stronger game. And I think that it's just remarkable to see that they were told to stick with it. Now, obviously, 343 is the Halo team, so what else were they going to do? But they could have moved on. And there's a lot of reports from Jason Schreier and various people that they tried to, that they were concepting new Halo titles, and they might actually be moving on from Infinite. But nonetheless, they hammered it out. Doubled the amount of maps in the game. added a new weapon, added so many new modes and playlists and game types and Forge and custom games, and gave us a title that, if it never got updated again, I think would be in a really solid position.
Yeah.
So I've just been having a lot of fun every night going back to Halo for an hour and a half, 2 hours. When I finished work and everything, I just want to relax. So I'm quite pleased to be playing Halo Infinite again and be playing a version of it that feels like it's where it should be.
Yeah. Did they add co-op single player? Okay, yes. that was a while ago.
Yeah.
I remember people talking about that before it came out, but not so much after it.
Yeah.
But that's great. I like that game. And
yeah,
it's a game that I don't have the urge to revisit, but knowing that it's in a competent state, that it took a while, but knowing that it is now in a competent state or a more complete state, because I think the game was always competent. It was just like a little feature light. Is great, considering that is still the kind of the marquee title of the series generation. Of they launched this with basically Halo 6, and people liked it when it came out, but it fell off so quick, and I don't think it has the potential to reclaim that glory throne. But it is in a spot where it could have a glory throne if there was the opportunity for it to reclaim that.
I think it's going to end up like a No Man's Sky or a Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Redemption arc, yeah.
It has a strong redemption and it has a dedicated player base, but it doesn't push back into the mainstream. But of course, Halo is attached to it, so there's always a chance because it's not going anywhere, and that's one of the game's IP. So we'll see. I just crossed the 80-hour mark, so having a lot of fun.
Good. Well, we'll be here when Halo Infinite Season 4 comes out in 5 years.
Fortunately. I think that there's something deep and fundamentally wrong with our friendship when we're going on vacation together, and the number one thing you ask me to bring with me is an Animal Crossing amiibo.
No, I think that's what it needs to be. I think you would be disappointed in me if I didn't ask you something like that.
That is true. Also, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to spend a significant amount of money on the 3DS eShop.
So am I. Yeah, I'm planning on it.
Not
should I have bought $50 worth of PS2 games yesterday? No, but that's okay.
I'm assuming on the storefront.
No.
Oh, on the black market.
Yeah, on the internet market. What does eBay stand for? Electronic Bay.
Yeah. I think that eBay counts as the gray market. If I remember. Sure.
But I mean, hey, I got Jack 3. Jack X, Combat Racing, Daxter, and Resident Evil 6 on the way, baby. Let's fucking go. Game collecting. Will I play any of those on their actual hardware? Maybe Daxter. The rest of them
RE6 is PS3 though, right?
All of them are available on PS Plus. Except for Daxter.
Well, RE6 is guys, I'm following.
I have a PS3.
Yeah. Now, I don't even give a fuck.
You had to question my financial decisions?
No. I was just curious if you're like it's more of just it's more of an item.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
To have and to hold.
Yeah. Yeah. Like your 20 small Yoshis.
Nah, calm down. It's 10.
Oh my bad.
Have you seen the Diddy Kong one?
I'm sure I have in my fucking day. I don't know. I'm sure it looks like Diddy Kong. Abram.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't look like Diddy Kong? Sounds like a poorly designed Diddy Kong amiibo to me.